is just going and poise. And that's what we have been doing for a number of years on this program here since we started doing the Cannabis show. To get them to come and explain a lot of things to us. And but seemingly maybe that is why they're afraid of coming. Because when they do come, they're not coming as informed as they should be and presenting the information in a way that clarifies a lot of the doubts and so on for people. And then, as Alan said, he make people like Alan now have to come and, present certain things that.
So, Yahsonn,
yes, sir.
You're telling me these great minds that put these conflicting stuff together don't know what they're doing? These was not intentional to cause to complicate things. Just so also you cannot change that in the Constitution because it is just you can carry this thing from you.
Well,
but they will still charge you.
Banky, yes. A lot of these things that are presented, right? Let's face it. The reality is a lot of these people who find themselves in that position of having to address cannabis in such a way, they have already made certain steps and do a little copy paste and so on and check out what they think is credible.
But that is not the right way to go about
it. It's not the right way, but it's obvious. And if you look through some of what they are seeing, when you look through some of the other legislation throughout the region, whether it's Jamaica, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, wherever, you would see remnants of pieces of whatever it is that they took out and tried to fit into the thing. A lot of this comes also too because see where we are. Even they didn't consult with people enough before they made the legislation, and even after they passed the legislation, they still ain't coming to the people to consult with the people and explaining what it is that they passed. Even without the next edition, really go through the legislation
in your yard, in a secret place, in your yard. You say yard, in a house, but the man, all these guys keep saying per household. So how can you differentiate yard to household? We don't understand that. Yard,
so that is quite interesting. That is quite interesting because I heard specifically the minister.
Well, listen, and I wanna be clear about something. They ain't say yard, they really say residence. You don't know is legal terms, but me just cut through all of the bush,
of course,
and tell you basically secure place in your yard. But ain't got no household story. Ain't per household. It's per person. If you go, and I also find the difference. I understand what's going on with the license part now. So the Drugs Act, right? What they are saying is if you got 56 grams or less, the police is not allowed to take it away. But the police are allowed to give you a ticket for $50. That's facts.
Comedy show this.
I'm telling you. No, the way to escape the $50 apparently is if you got a license under either the medicinal or under the freedom of conscience. So they walk out. I either gonna catch you under this or under that. So is either snake or spider. You better believe.
Okay.
This is about the money thing.
That is the distinction. So that is the real distinction.
I think I would have heard some of these licenses are free. It's just like, to me, it's like a formality. Is it so? That's not the case, really.
There is no way that is possible, sir.
Which one is free? You say?
Some coverage will be coverage. Rastafari would not have to pay.
Not even $1?
Well, from what I indicated hearing.
You're not sure there, huh?
That's what I was getting. So I was getting to that.
That's what I say from what indicated is that Rastafari get the first preference for licensing was not charge.
No charge?
Not charge.
Not even $1?
$1. I know you're not payment.
You sure?
I sure I could testify on that.
That's what I heard. Yes. You would have to apply for the license, but it would not be at a cost for Rastafari.
You made a cost. So you're trying
They
to
said,
the
well, the cost for everybody else is $100.
License.
Okay.
Well, listen, sir,
Move
are
on
you?
issue, yeah, and then the CEO will be the one who execute.
But then you have to go through the council, the council, the Christian council, get something. Yahsonn,
Enthusiastic,
Alan.
Ministry of Enthusiastic.
Yes, you have to apply to them for something.
Yes.
Yeah.
All of this is the deputy prime minister story.
Applying to say where you're going to be either apply to what your portion you want.
You have to go through the what you again? The fancy name?
Is either is you apply for you could apply for, I think they got 3 kind of license. They got license to smoke in designated areas. They got license to carry 56 grams or less. And they got license to grow 5 trees or less. All of them are $100. I am not seeing any exemption underneath this year.
Me not understanding things there, no. So how come they no license to grow me banana, me breadfruit and me sweet potato and all the things there? And then non-poisonous. Me not understand all these craziness. Really? And how long these license last for? Let me tell me how long your license last for?
I think it's an annual license. Well, they are also temporary license for people who come in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I woke up my court for everybody. What you said is agitate. That's what they agitate. We have to start getting to start agitate these things.
Here.
For those who listen and want to be a part of the show, they want to call in. The WhatsApp number is 1-869-662-7196. If you want to be a part of the show, you have any question for us, Iyah, or for anyone of the hosts themselves, I mean, feel free to call in at any time as your choice. 1-869-662-7196. All right. Yahsonn. Also,
I've been want to ask you, Rastaman, a question. Rastaman, who is the minister in charge of the cannabis board?
Kamal is the minister. It's Powell.
Why is Samuel the minister?
Well, in the aspect, that's the formality that was indicated to, as they said, go on the agriculture.
Well,
He's the
I'm
minister
just
of agriculture.
I only asking because when I was looking at the legislation, he had said the prime minister, but and I was looking to see if there was any kind of amendment, but I'm not seeing anything what say he's supposed to go to someone.
I think it was yes.
Alan.
Yes.
Alan.
Prime Minister.
The Prime Minister, what you're saying is right, because unto this state, he did not make it legislated finally, even though they went in Parliament and discussed about the proceeding.
Well, my thing is it, the Prime Minister mouth does not create laws, you know? The Prime Minister is not allowed to go inside the Parliament up on a radio show and say, well, I'm handing it over to Samuel. The Prime Minister have to follow the procedure and go in there and make the amendment and hand it over to Samuel. So all I know, so I am still confused as to why I am seeing Samuel walking all up and down the place.
Well, in the aspect
I'm reading from the app.
Yeah.
That's how come not previous app. I read from the app, and I tell you, I was looking if there is any type of amendment. I'm open to reading it, but the Prime Minister can't just say I'm handing it over to Samuel. He got to go in there and write it down on a piece of paper, read it the amount of time, and all of them say aye, and then he go to Samuel.
So they don't know these things.
I really don't know if that part took place, but I know it was said, Alan, as I say,
that's not good enough. That's not good enough. I am not concerned about the discussion.
I'm not sure I can verify, but
they go and do the right things. They have to do it the proper way. Because
where we at this, right?
I don't know if it was done.
Okay. Well, we at this.
Because
remember,
why I'm saying
Dr.
this,
Garfield.
Banky.
No, let me finish up the point.
Sorry, what I was saying is, right?
What? Go ahead. Go ahead, Yahsonn.
Yeah, what I was saying is,
Yes.
remember when cannabis was on the campaign first, even in Nevis, it was the premier who was talking about it mostly. But then when whatever announcement was made, it was said that the cannabis would have been placed under the ministries of agriculture. And then is when it became under the watch of Eric Evelyn and Samuel in the case of St. Kitts. I am not certain if it was done in the house because I think so, but I stand to be corrected. That's why I don't want to say that it wasn't, but I think it was done officially.
In the house.
I find it now, and they did in fact change it to agriculture. So I good now. I good now.
Okay, so that's what I was saying. I can't recall fully, but I know it was done. I know it was done officially, but I can't recall. I couldn't recall. Okay, you say you find it. So yes, that was done.
They
so
change it,
official,
and the minister responsible is agriculture. As long as I see the official thing, me not gonna problem after that. I bend.
It was moved. It was more close. Something last close the agriculture opening. Something like that. But okay, the first CEO was who? D'Souza? Who was that? Crawford. So is the doctor? He's still on leave and still hold the same position? Me not understand that.
Well, to the aspect, he had leave, but he's not holding the same position because he's on studying movements now within. And our just recent CEO who was acting is not with on the board member aspect no more. So we are seeking for a new CEO. There are interviews that are implying.
A new who? A new acting one?
Well, it have to be a new acting one.
Crawford still got the like get paid for the position he hold?
From my the payment they receive it.
Yes, you see this like phase this year?
It's still receiving payment.
Crawford can leave ever since, right? Since Garfield stepped up as the acting. So Dr. Garfield stepped down. So Crawford still, even still get paid for the whole for the position. You see what I mean?
That was put
so this still make no sense.
That was a part of the report going to the minister.
So you put a man aside since the government changed, and then you give somebody else to act. So the work that the one who have done the officially, what that they stand, that is still stand that and the one Garfield don't do what that they stand.
So that feeling hope within not all, not all, not all.
By this whole cannabis thing, you turn into a comedy thing,
But it's not going to be a comedy. Right now, what it is that basically on the front line, as we see things, it's time now the people get a purpose and to how the information share.
So that's Iyah. What about, I know you all on the sink, so how the Navy side look?
One member is alone and I was
No, how the Navy's cannabis thing look.
With the body?
Yeah, well,
there will be from my view, from my mind, that there should be information coming from the body over to share within the information to Navy. So I'm just be applied by the area when thinkers, it should be utilizing the area in Navy and get into the communities of the people in the Navy. Agriculture said
who?
Eric is in responsible. Who is it?
The premier for me now, the premier address when it comes to agriculture.
Who is the agriculture minister?
Well, for me is the premier.
No, the premier is the minister of everything.
Let's be official.
Yeah, me address this anything when it comes to agriculture.
No, if we be in unofficial, then we're gonna get Eric. But if we be official, officially is the premier.
Alan.
Yeah.
Who is the minister of agriculture in Nevis?
Officially is the premier.
Exactly.
Unofficially is Eric. Unofficially.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what
unofficial. Look. You all are not going to confuse the audience. The legitimate Minister of Agriculture is the Honorable Eric Evelyn. However, based on whatever other rationales, it is seemingly not functioning as he should. And so I guess they're deeming that they were putting it to the premier because the buck stops at the premier. But
Listen,
however,
not
seriously,
even,
on a serious note though,
not even when the premier order Nevis, Erica, the agriculture minister.
but on a serious note, no, as we talk about Nevis, that's one of the things that I am recognizing when it comes to the cannabis issue. We hear and we see things happening on the ground and St. Kitts. I've seen a lot of things that, I mean, I wish I could see happening on Nevis. I mean, I remember when they had the Cannabis event on St. Kitts. I see a little documentary, a little video up front, and the man actually showing cannabis growers and St. Kitts and, you know, interviewing cannabis growers open, you know, no face mask, no hiding and so on. I mean, so that people are recognized as they would say, ganja farmers and St. Kitts. I saw displays with people who are making products and so on. I mean, people able to even sell cannabis trees in Marriott's. I mean, come on. I mean, but
Yes,
at Nevis now, at Nevis, we see a whole different ball game where nothing is happening. And one event was attempted last year in terms of the Agro Expo. And from our reports, it was well received. I mean, even the premier himself, I understood, went in and I saw pictures with him in there smelling buds and all that. And then I have heard that
Alan was there. Alan was there relaxing.
The minister himself visited, and the minister only spent about 30 seconds and said that he's getting high. I mean, I don't understand, you know, so, and since then, we are not hearing no discussion. The only time I am hearing anything about cannabis from Nevis is when we're hearing this show here, when Alan and Banky and I do the last Tuesday in the month as dealing with the cannabis issue. And we are seeing a similar trend also in relation to the 25 by 25 agenda, where seemingly things were brought in for the benefit of farmers on both St. Kitts and Nevis, but we see, you know, the farmers on St. Kitts benefiting in an official representation in terms of from the ministry side. A lot of the farmers on Nevis would have had to get sources from outside other than ministerial assistance, all because, from what I understand, they failed to send a list. I mean, this is unbelievable. And so we are seeing some of these kind of trends, which leads us to believe that, you know, something is really not going right with agriculture and not really going right with cannabis. I mean, the poultry side in Nevis, we brought in a poultry boiler machine way before St. Kitts even begin to think of a hatchery. And St. Kitts have a hatchery operational right now. And from my understanding, we have a boiler machine sitting in a room. Somebody's paying rent for a boiler machine because people fail to plan and say that, well, they didn't know that the building would have cost so much. I mean, how? You can't make up these things. I mean, and we're serious about agriculture and we're serious about cannabis. So my thing is, why are we seeing much in regards to that part that you're talking about? And so I'm fearful if the same pattern is concerned with the board, then when you say that things should pass on to Nevis, I'm not sure if, you know, that is really going to work out, because should is the operative word here, because legally St. Kitts and Nevis decriminalize cannabis, and what is happening in St. Kitts should be happening in Nevis in relation to the 25 by 25 agenda. The things that were brought in federally should have been coming to Nevis as well. And so I am hopeful that we could see some changes, seek to agitate, and maybe we got to go back to petition, because I hear the brethren, the Costa suggested that we got to petition these things, so we may got to petition these guys to step forward and come out and go ahead, Alan.
Mr. Alan, what you gonna say?
Well, listen, Rastaman, I'm not gonna tell you to discount what Yahsonn said, but I would like to offer you an alternative view. Because Yahsonn feel like agitation, okay? No, feel semi-expert on the concerned citizens movement. And what I will tell you is I don't feel like petition or march are gonna get you nowhere. Concerned citizens movement like trending topics. You understand? In a tech, are you to go to them or no? If Iyah go to the people and then realize that the people with Iyah, all of a sudden, boy, Iyah phone not gonna stop ring. You gonna end call, and they gonna call back. Cause they gonna wanna get you all of a sudden. Cause you got the people. Don't wait or go to them who feel like them gonna get the people or you. I feel like the cannabis board need to set up their own thing in a Nevis because unlike Yahsonn, I'm less optimistic. They are showing me over years that they're not gonna interest. Them thing is, I be gonna watch Sink It and I be gonna watch how things work out with them. Them naturally do nothing for themselves. So when it comes to the education, I feel like I need to come up with a package to educate them too. Don't wait for them. That would be my suggestion. Because me not see them working with you. And as I say, if you get hot,
but
them people there, boy, oh my mothers, yeah, you will be surprised
but these ministers,
that they got your number.
But these ministers is a part of the federal government, parliament, same way, where these discussions are part of where they sit together, they have lunch and different stuff. So it's very, very strange. And if you try to figure out this thing, it just really just don't add up and make no sense, don't hold water. How can
it does add up because this is the thing why you forget all the time. You know? Federal mean to state. And the state and Nevis got their own government. So as much as you say federal, Nevis Island government got its own responsibilities and them got a say in how them are run certain things in the Nevis part. That's absolutely fact. And that's how come me always say Florida does sue the United States and they're still going to remain in the United States. But the state of Florida going to say, we need these things taken care of federally. Sometimes the federal government does sue Florida too and say, you ain't doing your work. These things are normal circumstances when we're dealing with a federation. So we can... The real problem is the premier has a lot of jobs. So at one point in time, we look at him and we say, you're the premier, you're my local leader, but then also he wear a federal hat. So the system is kind of made, once again, that there is a kind of thing one make you confuse you. What is he? What am I addressing him as? The federal? The premier? You get paid two of them. He only work 8 hours, man. You know, I work 8 hours as the opposition leader and then 8 hours as the premier. And 8 hours, how many know which one of them he be at any given moment in time? Yeah, and he can't put in the work in 8 hours of 2 people. He can't do it. He only could collect the check of the 2 people. You better believe that better clear every month. But he can't.
You can't say that when the deputy said, when his deputy said, your people in Nevis working 5 jobs. So I mean, he can't do that. If I'm saying jobs,
the difference with them. Banky, the difference with them people there. Them people they would literally got to go on 5 different work. No, when you hear a man say he cut 5 yards, he cut 5 yards. The premier is cutting 1 yard and I get credit to cut 2. 1 yard.
Well, the match work out different for them, you know. The match for them is different. You see, the match for these parliamentarian is different to way match, you know. We can actually do the work, you know, go do the work at the time, but they don't have to do it. You see?
But me just tell you, because he hold two roles, it allow for there to be confusion and for you to say, why be he be? What me suppose was just as the federal? And then you get mixed up. So then you got things where really he local issue, but because he the federal man too, you say, but and really and truly that because your confusion where you really come to is that he's supposed to know. Even if he was just the premier and not in the federal parliament, he's still supposed to know. Definitely. You talk to the prime minister, they have what it does be a conversation about all it. Are they not that? They're supposed to be speaking about important legislation. If I pass a federal legislation as the prime minister, I'm not supposed to talk to the premier about how it's gonna be implemented in Nevis. That would make sense to me. Especially when we give budgetary support and all. I think you got to. These are common.
One thing that came up during the discussion with Mr. DeCasta and Samuel, they spoke about Southern University and training and all this different stuff with different products and all this different stuff. So I'm not sure if they have planned to when it comes to workshops. There are people who are already doing toothpaste of these different products, oils and shampoos. A lot of this stuff already been in progress already. People have been well trained and doing a lot of these things locally and stuff like this. But if there's more intense training, more and more training is always good. So I'm looking forward to see, when this thing will be implemented and also when the office will be set up. Because it seems like the office is not set up as yet and all this different stuff. So it seems like they are waiting for influx of calls for people bringing in applications and all these different things. But at the same time as yet, they're still not uncertain which way. What lands are allocated for all this stuff? Because earmarked for all these things. Can you not even have land earmarked for agriculture to go food? So when you have land earmarked for to go herb, me not understand that. You see, these are the things they're trying to understand because you ain't have land earmarked for food for the next 20, 40 years, 50 years. And now you're into an industry that needs more land, the same land too. So where are these land going to be allocated at an earmark for cannabis? You see, cannabis want water too, I hope you know cannabis want water. And cannabis want drip, and cannabis want going to get pest, you're going to get disease. So where all these things coming from for the pesticide board and all the different stuff, when you have companies coming from overseas that are accustomed to use these pesticides and all these different stuff, where the regulation are going to just so what more step the pesticide board going to come into this? Are they going to just register these things? Are they going to look into this stuff?
But how the standard will be a support. But the more standard is set up equipment that they can be more engaged within, will require what they are asking on, and that is something vital what they are just asking. In where land preparation, where other things have been required, these things that we put where the herb is necessary.
Because people can't get land to farm food. So how you going to find land to give people to go weed? You have to eat. Me not understand that. So my sister, this is very funny to me. You can't get a land. People want land. People have land all the years. Yes.
A lot of these cannabis operations that are gonna be set up to grow quote unquote medicinal cannabis are more than likely going to be grown in enclosed structures. The type of but it would not be in the quantity in which you might be thinking.
A lot of remember the land there, no?
A lot of these.
Forget the land there. The land there, Yahsonn.
Hold on. No land there, and you hear the premier begging people to come back home and begging investors to come. When things are going to happen, land is going to be made available. Better life land, they're gonna find land. So
agriculture now for land go plant food, see if you get land in. They tell you to private people. You're gonna find land.
Part of what is going to be the issue is that I think a lot of the traditional growers, if they don't seek to address the recreational and maybe spiritual side in an effective way. Maybe kind of boxed out the industry to some extent, because if not boxed out, just be limited to growing specific raw materials in terms of the strains to supply some of these industries that are going to be creating the byproducts, mainly for the medicinal side. Because remember, yes, you will have people who are going to, doctors or medical professionals who are going to prescribe it for smoking purposes, but a lot of people, especially in the medical field, is utilizing it in other ways other than smoking. And those are some of the ways that are going to be catered for. The vape pens, the other value added, whether it's the shatter, whether it's the diamonds, whether it's the crystals. These are some of the other products that are going to be produced to meet other market demand. Because remember, when the industry gets to that level, we're not necessarily just going to be developing products for ourselves. Because when you think about it, the demand, our population, and you look at, from a perspective, whoever is going to be getting involved in this industry and that level, because when you're going to go into it at that level, it costs a lot of money as well. So you're going in to be able to get returns on your investment and in as quick as possible time. And so they're going to be looking at how they can, in most cases, you're going to have maybe companies coming in with their brand already set up and ready to push back out into the market where they're coming from to sustain the market. And you might have growers maybe just growing to supply these industries, because the reality is many of us would not have the money up front to take on these industries and take on sometimes the losses that are involved in the startup of these companies. For example, I'm going to use a simple example. I remember when I was working in the company in Canada, when you reached to, even though they were growing in Canada, they were also exporting to Germany, Jamaica, and some other place. But in order to meet the requirements, you have what they call good management, good manufacturing practices, GMP. Now, if you don't meet that standard, when they start to check, so let's say you had a wonderful crop, you're just starting up, you spend $3-5 million, $10 million set up your operation, your first grow, you're telling yourself that you're going to get this ship off to Germany or whatever to make back your money. When you start doing your checking operation, they realize, well, you might have some pest and some plant or something that causes it to not meet the requirement. The whole shipment might just not be able to move. Now you got to be able now to deal with that loss, because you just spent how much of $1 million with the anticipation that this is going to go wherever it's going to go, but it's not going to go anywhere. No, you got to go grow a whole other crop again now. So you got to get that money now again now to kickstart again. So it is kind of sometimes we just look at it from our perspective in terms of growing it and getting some good buds to smoke for our brethren and sistren. And even if we're gonna develop products, we must remember also that we're late in the race. So a lot of the products that we are going to develop, unless it's some special, unique kind of product, we'll have to be competing with other brands who are on the market with similar products as well. So we have to think through this thing from all of the different perspectives. So sometimes I just like to put some of these things into light. So you might find that a lot of our farmers might go for our market, and we might be saying, okay, yeah, we got better buds and we could supply one another and so on the island, and make sure that we have a steady supply on the island and all that. But then you in terms of really meeting the standard now to even develop these products, because as I talk about having to work with the Bureau of Standards, the government did speak to that. Now we have to start to realize that when you're manufacturing these products, you will know to determine whether the amount of THC and the amount of CBD and everything would have to be labeled and so on, and whether it's your juice or your drink, or when you start to do your infused products and whatever it is, everything would have to be labeled. And so you'd have to be trained and know how to test, so you can make a juice out of it, and all of these things would have to go through these testing and all of these things. So it is not going to be as easy as we think, as we're thinking about it to some extent. So I think we just need to be able to look at these bigger picture. And if we don't address some of these things now and allow the government to maybe just move how they want to move, that might be the direction that we might end up in, and we might just end up being like in the case of the tobacco, where we just go in the pepper to supply somebody who is already manufacturing it, instead of being able to fully.
The market is more broader than what we are assert with, so it can able to captivate our regional body within the CARICOM region.
I mean, trade amongst ourselves, I mean?
Yeah. That is something that was said in it by those in our work to carry out whatever state.
Well, it seems like the intention is still maybe to still continue with working with that. So if I see like more we're targeting the tourists part of it, because that's where you have the Eco Park there to set up as a part where the tourists them can go and get on the tour and go to Eco Park and have shows that the government itself have a big part to play to get involved. So who going to the government with it? They're going to have growers, no? If that's the plan, they mean they have to have growers then. You see? So then if the government are going to go in herb, what happened to the next, the regular man who want to go herb to, they're going to sell the government, do buy weed from, if the government got their own growing things going on. So all these seem like a conflict of interest too. Who got money to plan?
That's what I'm saying. If you're gonna be going with the tourists in mind, remember now the tourists that's coming is accustomed to an industry that they have already, where they're accustomed to go to the dispensary, and the dispensary is gonna tell them, okay, well, we have this strain or that strain, and it is only like those enthusiasts who will want to say, okay, well, I'm in the Caribbean, I want to taste some of the best strains that you've got on the island, or like that. But the average person is going to be more thinking of, let me get something that is safe. And it's the same rationale that is going to be pushed out, in the sense of, we have tourists the same way, but then they will try to encourage the tourists to some extent sometimes not to, so they don't want to get sick and have to sue somebody, or so these are things that, when we are taking it from the medicinal cause of the safety issue, they're going to look at, they want to know that it's in a controlled environment, they want to control how it is grown, they want to know, so they want to be able to detail and have stats on every step of whatever it is that you do. And then again, there's the hydroponics versus the earth-grown cannabis market trend that is happening right now, where earth-grown cannabis is sort of